I transmigrated into a saccharine-sweet romance novel. My new identity? The younger sister of a love-obsessed supporting female character. From that moment on, I was determined to rescue my sister from her own blind infatuation. When the male lead criticized her for being too flashy, she responded by dressing down until she looked completely disheveled. In solidarity, or maybe just out of petty spite, I followed suit, wearing rags and smearing dirt all over myself until I looked like I crawled out of a dumpster. Faced with this double disaster, my sister had no choice but to clean up her act, literally. She started dressing up again, if only to set a better example for me. The male lead, a master manipulator, told her that a girl's academic performance wasn't important. She took it to heart and began slacking off in school. That was when I threw a tantrum and declared, if my sister stops studying, then I won't study either. Left with no way out, she buckled down and hit the books again, just to set me back on track. But the final straw came when the male lead tried to please her by suggesting she get pregnant before marriage. Before I could even think of a plan, my sister raised her hand and slapped the scumbag square across the face. Shameless! What if my little sister follows my example? Are you trying to ruin her life too? She shouted. I transmigrated into a cheesy romance novel, specifically, as the younger sister of a hopelessly love-struck side character. And the system? Oh, it didn't even hesitate before dropping a mission on me. Save my sister from her romance-obsessed brain. I stared at the floating interface in disbelief. I wasn't even 10 yet. You expect me, someone whose baby teeth haven't all come in, to convince a 16-year-old teenage girl to stop chasing love and understand what real affection means? The system chuckled shamelessly. Sorry, this was the only identity left. Make do, will you? I believe in you. You've totally got this. If a head-on approach won't work, outsmart her. There's always a way. Before I could argue further, I spotted a girl descending the staircase. She was stunning, utterly jaw-dropping, the kind of beauty that could topple empires. Then I looked at her outfit. My words died in my throat. I hadn't seen clothes this tattered since World War II documentaries. System, who's the glamorous disaster in rags? She's not in the book, right? That's your love-struck sister, Liliana Whitelock. I nearly choked. Wait, aren't we loaded? Don't tell me we've gone bankrupt. No, relax. The system rushed to explain. It's that trash male lead. He said your sister dressed too well and stole the spotlight from the female lead. So he told her he prefers simple and modest girls. Your sister, being the ultimate romance brain, decided to downgrade her entire wardrobe to please him. I rolled my eyes so hard I almost saw my own skull. Of course. Classic love brain logic, as written by a sadistic author who didn't even bother giving her a mean girl trait. Just full-blown devotion and no breaks. The system poked me again. You'd better intervene soon. She's going to school like that today, and when she stands next to the female lead, everyone mocks her for looking like a maid. But because the male lead doesn't mock her, she falls even deeper in love with him. Wasn't it his fault she looked like that in the first place? Why would she love him more? Nope. I had to step in. I hugged my stuffed bunny and waddled toward my sister on my stubby little legs, eyes wide and innocent. Big sis, why do you look like one of those homeless uncles today? No, wait. Even the homeless uncles don't dress this bad. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the maid suppress a laugh. Liliana froze mid-step, clearly a little embarrassed. Still, she crouched down and explained patiently, Bella, this isn't homeless wear, it's minimalist fashion. I'm still a student. I shouldn't be too flashy. I nodded, face lighting up like a sunflower. I get it, sis. I totally get it. She sighed in relief, thinking she'd convinced me, and patted my head with a smile. That's right. I'm off to school now after breakfast. Be good while I'm gone, okay? Listen to Auntie and wait for me to come home. Oh ho. A doting sister, are we? Perfect. The moment she turned her back, I scurried to my room. I grabbed one of my expensive designer dresses, hacked at it with scissors until it was full of holes, then stomped on it repeatedly. By the time I was done, it looked worse than roadkill. The system was in full panic mode. What are you doing? Are you going minimalist too? That outfit was worth 5 figures. I've been a system for years and never worn anything that expensive. If you don't want it, give it to me instead. I glanced at it disdainfully. Short-sighted. You clearly don't understand my noble intentions. Just watch. There's no way I'm letting my drop-dead gorgeous sister walk into school looking like a walking tragedy. I stripped off my pajamas and put on the torn-up minimalist outfit, then skipped down the stairs, all sunshine and innocence. Sis, look. Look at my new outfit. It's just like yours. Super minimalist. My sister was mid-bite when she saw me, and nearly choked on her toast. She bent over, face full of concern. Bella, what happened? Did you fall and rip your clothes? She immediately started checking me for bruises. I shook my head. Nope. I just wanted to match you, so I made this outfit myself. Hee hee. Do I look good now, sis? Liliana froze. She clearly hadn't realized how much influence she had on me. But clearly, she still hadn't given up on those awful clothes. Bella, she crouched beside me, attempting to explain. This is called minimalism. Minimal doesn't mean ugly. It's just toned down. Big sis has to dress like this for school. But Bella doesn't go to school, so you can dress like a princess at home, okay? I clung to her leg with wide, pleading eyes. Bella doesn't want to be the only princess. Bella wants to wear the same clothes as Big Sis. Her eyes softened at that, just the tiniest flicker of emotion showing through her perfect face. Bella, sweetie. You're right. It was my fault. I set a bad example for you. I didn't teach you how to tell what's truly beautiful. I'll go upstairs right now and change into something pretty, and then we'll both dress up, okay? I nodded vigorously and beamed. Okay, sis. We'll both wear pretty clothes. 10 minutes later, my sister came down in a new outfit. You could tell she tried her best to choose something from her closet that was modest and low profile. But on her? With that face, she lit up the whole room like a spotlight. I couldn't help but whisper under my breath. No wonder the male lead told her he liked simple girls. Even if he didn't love her, he'd have to admit. My sister may be hopelessly in love, but she's stunning. Honestly, I think he just didn't want to fall for her, so he told her to dress badly. The system snorted in my ear. You two are something else. She's obsessed with her sister, and you're obsessed with your big sis. I rolled my eyes. You clearly don't get it. This is called mutual appreciation between women. Some system you are. All those years reading novels and still so clueless. Even though my sister had changed, there was still hesitation in her eyes. I knew exactly what she was thinking. That romance-addled brain of hers was worried the male lead would think she looked too flashy and be disappointed. So I lunged forward and hugged her legs, then exaggeratedly gasped. Big sis, you're so pretty. I want to be pretty just like you. The hesitation on her face vanished instantly. Her expression melted into a warm, gooey smile. Then Bella has to promise to dress nicely too. No more wrinkly, dirty clothes, okay? I nodded so hard I almost gave myself whiplash. Okay, big sis. For a moment, I truly believed that maybe, this would make her realize that the male lead didn't love her. Not really. That someone who truly cared wouldn't ask her to make herself ugly. But once again, I had underestimated the depths of her delusion. That night, she came home crying. She didn't even eat dinner, just locked herself in her room. My parents and I were baffled. She'd left the house happy this morning. What had gone so wrong? The housekeeper went to call her for dinner, then returned with a troubled expression. Sir, ma'am. The young miss said she's too fat. She wants to go on a diet. My parents nearly had a heart attack. Liliana Whitelock had been a dancer since she was a kid. At 5 feet 7 inches, she barely weighed 110 pounds. I sat at the table and didn't even need to think. Of course it was that male lead again, up to his manipulative nonsense, calling my sister fat. But my sister, ever the love-brained fool, was taking it seriously. Even with all the delicious food Auntie had prepared, she was resisting. Well, not me. I needed to eat. Gotta stay strong if I'm going to rescue her from herself. I had just sat down when the system piped up in my head. Eat, eat, eat. That's all you ever do. While you're stuffing your face, Liliana Whitelock is texting that scumbag. He told her to go on a diet and suggested she try diet pills. That did it. I shot up from my seat and sprinted straight to my sister's bedroom. Right outside her door, I burst into dramatic sobs. If big sis doesn't eat, I won't eat either. I want to lose weight too. I want to be skinny just like you. That did the trick. In less than 3 seconds, my sister flung the door open and practically flew toward me. She yanked me up from the floor in a panic. Bella, you're just a kid. You're still growing. What do you mean lose weight? I lowered my head and pouted, voice soft and sad. But Auntie said you weren't eating because you're dieting. If dieting is a bad thing, then why is big sis doing it? My question hit her like a slap. She froze, utterly speechless. Just then, I happened to catch a glimpse of her phone screen. It was still lit up. She was actually looking at weight loss pills. I gasped. Big sis, are you seriously thinking of buying diet pills? Liliana Whitelock instantly locked her screen and shoved the phone aside. And no, Bella, you must have seen it wrong. I crossed my arms and turned away with a pout. I don't care. If you don't eat, then I won't eat either. Whatever you do, I'll do it too. Faced with my stubbornness, she had no choice but to follow me back downstairs to the dinner table. Our parents were already waiting, their eyes full of concern as they watched her sit down. Liliana, sweetheart, is school stressing you out? Mom asked gently, placing a piece of fish in her bowl. You've gotten so skinny. Look at yourself. My sister stared at the food in front of her, visibly uncomfortable, not touching a single bite. I leaned over and added a juicy chunk of braised pork into her bowl. Big sis, try Auntie's red braised pork. It's super yummy. I tugged her hand with my chubby fingers, pleading with wide, glistening eyes until finally, she gave in and picked up her chopsticks. But as soon as dinner was over, she excused herself and slipped back into her room. I didn't know what she was up to, until I tiptoed upstairs and heard movement inside. Just as Liliana Whitelock was leaning over the sink, fingers halfway to her throat, I burst through the door. Sis, what are you doing? Startled, she jolted upright, hands quickly dropping to her sides. Bella, I wasn't doing anything. Did you need something? Now obviously, a 6-year-old like me wasn't supposed to know what purging was, so I pretended not to. I sat down at the edge of her bed, looking at her with big round eyes. Sis, did you fall in love with someone? I asked softly. Is he the kind of person who'd think you're too fat? She froze. Her hand trembled. How did you know? She asked startled. Realizing she'd said too much, she quickly tried to cover it. I mean, why would you say that, Bella? I rested my chin in my palms and sighed theatrically. Because I think I like the boy next door. Jeremy. I expected her to laugh, maybe tease me with a, what do you know about love? But she didn't. She simply sat beside me gently, smoothing out my hair with her fingers. Liking someone is a beautiful thing, she said softly. But why does Bella look so upset? I sniffled, eyes watering just enough to look convincing. Because today, Jeremy told me I was too fat. That he was embarrassed to be seen with me. I was really sad. Then I came home and saw even you, so skinny and pretty, trying to lose weight. I thought, maybe I really am too fat. Liliana went quiet. She looked down, thinking deeply, then finally spoke. Bella, someone who truly loves you will never care if you're skinny or not. For example, I've never once thought you were fat. I've only ever thought you were adorable. If Jeremy really cared about you, he'd never make you think being thin was more important than being healthy. She paused after saying that, her expression dazed, as if the words had hit her in a way she hadn't expected. Yeah, she murmured to herself. If he really loved me, he wouldn't think being thin was more important than my health. The system popped up beside me, clapping softly. Well done, host. You got her to reflect on it so fast. But it wasn't me who made her understand. She'd known the truth all along. She just didn't love herself the way she loved me. So I scooted closer, patting her hand and leaning in. You're right, sis. That's why I've decided. I'm going to eat well and love myself from now on. And you have to promise me you'll love yourself too. She looked at me, eyes shining, and nodded firmly. Ever since that day, I could clearly see the change in my sister. She no longer dressed herself down to look dull and frumpy. Instead, she went to school every day looking polished, radiant, and confident. She never brought up dieting again either. Every meal, she sat with me and ate heartily, even encouraging me to eat more. I was so proud I could have cried. That's how a girl should live. Eat well, dress beautifully, and shine in her own light. Just when I thought she was finally breaking free from her romance-addled brain, the system came to pour cold water on my hope. She still likes that scumbag. What? I nearly shouted aloud. She already knows he doesn't love her. How can she still be head over heels for him? The system sighed. Well, he was the first person she ever loved. And first love isn't easy to let go of. A young girl's love tends to be fiery and sincere. One day, after I got home from school, I finally came face to face with this man. This male lead who had inspired such fiery and sincere devotion in my sister. Well, he was handsome. No denying that. The kind of classic romance novel male lead handsome. But then he opened his mouth. And every word was garbage. Liliana, didn't I tell you? I don't like girls who dress too showy. Why are you still dressing like you're trying to get attention every day? And you're a dancer, aren't you? Even if you're taking the academic route now, you should still be watching your figure. My sister, normally full of poise and confidence, shrank back like a timid deer in his presence. But just as we thought she'd swallow her pride again, she looked up, and for once she spoke for herself. Ethan, she said calmly, I dress like any normal student. Within the school's rules, I simply try to look put together. There's nothing shameful about that. And I'm not fat. My weight is healthy and well within range. If you think I'm too fat, then maybe your idea of beauty is what's twisted. The system and I both broke into silent applause. She was brilliant. Ethan Greystone, used to her obedience, was stunned by her sudden defiance. His brows furrowed hard, and for a moment, he didn't know what to say. At last, he just huffed. Fine. From now on, I won't meddle in your life anymore. I saw Liliana's hand tremble ever so slightly at that. But in my heart, I was celebrating. Yes. Stop meddling. Please leave forever. And then, of course, he had to ruin it. But Liliana, Ethan added, do you want to go to the same university as me? My blood pressure skyrocketed. In this story, Ethan was canonically terrible at school. A certified academic slacker. My sister, on the other hand, had top grades and the potential to get into a prestigious university. Why in the world should she lower herself to go where he was going? To my relief, she raised the same concern. Ethan, there's a big gap between our grades, she said. Getting into the same school might be a little hard. He scoffed. Liliana Whitelock, you say you love me, but you're not even willing to give up a better school just to be with me? Come on. It's not like a girl needs that much education anyway. If you agree to go to the same university as me, I'll officially be with you. I watched as Liliana lifted her head. Because for her, being with Ethan Greystone was a long-cherished wish. She said quietly but firmly, Ethan Greystone, let me think about it. His smug little smirk returned. Sure. You've got 3 days. The recommended student exam is in 3 days, right? If you take that exam, I'll never be with you. The system and I were fuming. We both knew that in 3 days, Liliana and the story's female lead were supposed to sit for the same exam. If Liliana dropped out, the female lead's chances of being admitted would rise significantly. This wasn't a confession. It was a trap. He wanted my sister to throw away her future for love, and help the female lead win. And the worst part? My sister was actually considering it. I panicked. On the morning of the recommended student exam, our parents, fully aware of how important the day was, woke up early to rouse my sister from bed. But to everyone's surprise, Liliana stayed curled up under the covers, mumbling that she felt unwell. I took one look at her and instantly knew she was lying. She wasn't sick. She just didn't want to take the exam. Still, our parents, ever the gentle kind, believed that health should always come before grades. They comforted her gently and told her she could stay home if she wasn't feeling well. But I was having none of it. Without a second's hesitation, I threw myself down in front of her bedroom door and began rolling and sobbing like the world was ending. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. If Big Sis doesn't have to go, she's a senior for crying out loud. Then why should I, a second grader, have to go? I don't care. If Big Sis doesn't study, then I won't study either. My sister, upon hearing my dramatic meltdown, rushed out of her room in a panic. Bella, listen. Big Sis is just not feeling well today. You can't behave like this. I narrowed my eyes and cut straight through her excuse. You look perfectly fine. Your face is glowing. You don't look even remotely sick. Dad and Mom said today is the recommended student exam. If you don't even show up for that, how do you expect to get into college? If you're giving up on studying, then I will too. That hit the mark. Liliana's face grew serious. Bella, don't say things like that. You have to study hard. Big Sis will go take that exam right now. With that, she darted back into her room, grabbed her school bag, and bolted down the stairs. Later, I heard she completely crushed the exam that day. And in the weeks leading up to the college entrance exams, she doubled down, studying with intense focus, terrified she might fall short and fail to be the role model I believed she was. Meanwhile, because she had taken the exam, Ethan Greystone, the scumbag male lead, never reached out to her again. Liliana, now beaming with pride over her acceptance into a top university, had no time or energy left for love. Just as I thought everything was finally turning around, and that my sister had completely outgrown her love-brained past, the scumbag showed up again. It was at her college acceptance celebration banquet. He deliberately found a moment to pull her aside alone. Luckily, the system and I caught sight of them slipping away and followed, silent as shadows. "Congratulations, Liliana," Ethan Greystone said, voice dripping with sourness. My sister replied with her usual grace, "Ethan, I wish you the same, a bright future ahead." For a moment, it seemed like they were finally offering each other closure. Like this long messy story might finally end. But then Ethan opened his mouth again. "Liliana, I've never asked anything of you before. But now I must. My grandfather is dying. His last wish is to hold a great-grandchild in his arms. And I believe you're the perfect person to make that wish come true." The system and I both went stiff. What did he just say? Were we haunted? Did we lose the ability to understand human speech? Even my sister looked shaken, staring at him like he'd lost his mind. "Ethan, do you even realize what you're saying? We just graduated from high school." But Ethan looked sincere, disturbingly sincere, as he reached out and grabbed her hand. "Liliana, listen to me. We can have the baby first. Fulfill my grandfather's wish. Our families are both wealthy. We can hire a nanny to take care of the baby. We'll still go to college, graduate as planned, and get married later." As he laid out his master plan, Liliana lowered her head, seemingly lost in thought. The system and I exchanged horrified glances. No way. Is she actually considering it? But the next second, Liliana raised her head and smacked Ethan Greystone across the face with a slap that echoed. "You're disgusting," she said coldly. "What if my little sister thinks it's okay to follow my example? Do you want to ruin her life too?" Then her eyes widened, as if she finally realized something terrible. "So that's it. You want to ruin me?" The system and I were frozen in awe. Did that really just happen? Was that slap real? System. Was that my sister just now? That slap was kind of legendary. The system swallowed hard. "Pretty sure that's her. Certified and authentic. But I think what really scared her was the idea of you copying her. Becoming a teen mom before you even hit puberty." And suddenly it all made sense. In her heart, her love for me had finally surpassed whatever lingering feeling she had for Ethan Greystone. Ethan, now holding his rapidly swelling cheek, stared at her in utter disbelief. "Liliana Whitelock, are you out of your mind? You hit me. If that's how it is, don't you ever expect me to come back?" Liliana's smile was sharp and icy. "Go ahead, Ethan Greystone. I can't believe how low you've sunk. You tried to exploit my feelings, just so I'd give up everything and have a baby for your dying grandfather. Oh, let me guess. You were hoping that once I got pregnant, I'd use the baby as an excuse to withdraw from university. And that way, Susanna Powell could take my place instead, right?" The system and I exchanged a look, absolutely stunned. She figured it out. The girl who once cried over every word Ethan said had just unraveled his entire scheme with surgical precision. She finally saw him for what he was, a manipulative user who never truly loved her, only wanted her loyalty and emotional labor. Ethan, caught red-handed, scowled but refused to admit defeat. "If that's what you want to believe, fine. But now I see the truth too, your love? It wasn't even worth my time." And with that, he stormed off. Liliana stood still, staring at her own hand as if she couldn't believe what it had just done. She looked dazed, but stronger than ever. After that day, my sister completely erased Ethan Greystone from her life. She deleted his contact info and cut all ties with him. The system and I were overjoyed. We practically danced in celebration. Finally, she was free of that scumbag. But oddly enough, Liliana didn't seem any happier. In fact, she seemed even more withdrawn. She stayed in her room most of the time, barely came out. And when she did, during meals, she looked distant, uninterested in everything around her. Like the world had dimmed a few shades. I grew anxious again, turning to the system in frustration. What's going on? Shouldn't she be happier now that she's not love-brained anymore? The system stroked its chin, putting on a sage-like act. "Ah, child. You wouldn't understand. Hard to believe you've been the protagonist in so many novels. Look, sure, Ethan's a jerk now, but he wasn't always. They grew up together. He used to be kind to her. That's why she fell in love in the first place. Your sister spent years loving him. She trained in dance for him, watched her figure for him, even gave up her dream of being a dance major to become an academic student, for him. And in the end, she realized he not only didn't love her, he wanted to ruin her. For another girl. You have any idea how much that must hurt?" I stared at her slumped figure at the dinner table, her chopsticks barely moving. Her usual glow was nowhere to be found. My heart ached. I clenched my little fists and made a silent vow. I'm going to make her happy again. I'll find someone who really loves her. The system scratched its head. What, you think this is a matchmaking show now? How are you going to find someone like that? I grinned. Exactly like a matchmaking show. Time to start screening candidates. That very night, I locked myself in my room and began combing through the novel's male characters. The system pointed at the second male lead. Hey, what about him? He hasn't met the female lead yet. Why not pair him with your sister first? I gave the suggestion a hard side eye. Have you read any of these novels? Second male leads fall harder for the female lead than the male lead ever does. If he ends up ditching my sister for her, she'll be devastated all over again. Then the system got another idea. What about the female lead's older brother? He's handsome, smart, and the best part, he'll never fall for the female lead. Problem solved. I stared at the system. Deadpan. Are you joking? Ethan dumped her because he liked the female lead. You think my sister doesn't already have a thorn in her heart about that girl? If she dates the female lead's brother, She's gonna have to see her all the time. No way. I shook my head firmly. The male and female leads are walking drama bombs. I need to keep my sister far away from both of them. I kept digging, filtering through every single male character in the story. Finally, I found him, a hidden gem. A senior named Robin Robinson, who only appeared once in the book. He helped the female lead once when she got lost, and she never forgot his handsome face. But Robin? He didn't even remember her. He was completely focused on his studies, totally immune to the female lead's protagonist aura. Perfect. Exactly the kind of guy I needed. No ties to the heroine, no interest in romance plotlines, and 100% emotionally available. Once I confirmed his name in the book, I started digging through real-life leads. And what I discovered made me freeze. Robin Robinson was our next-door neighbor. Even worse, he was the older brother of Jeremy Robinson, the annoying little brat I fought with every day. My heart sank. If my sister had lived next to him all these years and never fallen for him, was I just forcing something that would never work? But the system just waved its little hand. Relax. Neither of them was ever part of the main plot. They've been neighbors for years and haven't even met. Heck, you fight with that Jeremy kid every day, but your sister probably doesn't even know he exists. So what if you introduce them now? They might actually hit it off. Fair point. Alright then. Let's make a match. I rushed straight to my sister's door. When I walked in, I caught a glimpse of her quickly wiping away a tear. But the moment she saw me, her voice turned gentle again. Bella, what brings you here? I walked up to her, tugged lightly at her sleeve, and whined sweetly. Sis, you haven't taken me out to play in so long. She immediately pulled me into her arms with a smile. Then where does Bella want to go? I looked up at the ceiling, pretending to think very hard. After a dramatic pause, I answered. I want to see a movie. A new one just came out. Tomorrow, I've got tutoring. But after class, Uncle Driver can take me straight to the cinema. And then, can you meet me at the theater entrance at 5? My sister ruffled my hair and nodded. Alright, I'll buy some snacks and wait for you there. After the movie, we can grab something delicious to eat, okay? I jumped up and cheered. Yay! But in my heart I was thinking, perfect, it's happening. Then I bolted downstairs to find Jeremy Robinson. Predictably, the little gremlin scowled the moment he saw me. Bella Whitelock, I haven't even made you pay for stealing my snacks last time. You trying to start a fight again? I grinned like a little devil and held out the exact snacks I'd stolen, now offered as a peace gift. To my surprise, Jeremy turned bright red. What are you doing? I am telling you now, I'm not that kind of guy. You better not be flirting with me. He lowered his head, flustered, acting like a bashful maiden. I blinked in confusion. System. What's wrong with him? Is he short-circuiting? Nah, he probably just thinks spring has arrived. Spring has what? I didn't get it. But whatever. I leaned in close again, and Jeremy actually dodged away, blushing harder. Jeremy, do you want a sister-in-law or not? He turned his head, voice small. I do. Then his eyes widened. Wait, what did you just say? Sister-in-law? I laid out the full plan for him. Tomorrow, when your brother comes to pick you up, give him this movie ticket. Tell him your friend is sick and can't make it, and that you need him to take notes on the plot. When my sister sees your brother in the seat beside her, she'll be surprised. They'll end up talking for sure. Jeremy crossed his arms with a cold snort. Humph. And why exactly should I help you? I reached out and grabbed his hand earnestly. Because we're friends, Jeremy. The second I touched him, he froze completely, then slowly melted like ice cream in the sun. Fine, he said, all tsundra. Just this once. Everything was in place. The next morning, I had the butler buy the tickets. One went to my sister, and the other to Jeremy. Meanwhile, I also bought 2 extra seats directly behind theirs. Jeremy and I would sit there, secretly watching our plan unfold. The next day, everything went smoothly, at first. When my sister arrived at the theater and saw Robin Robinson sitting in the seat next to hers, she was visibly confused. Robin, ever polite, explained. I'm here in place of my younger brother. He said he was supposed to watch this movie with your sister, but she's sick. I came to help jot down the plot for her. Liliana frowned. Why didn't my sister tell me she was sick? Robin looked surprised too. Didn't you know? My brother said she had a fever. He made it sound pretty serious. In the row behind them, Jeremy and I listened in, grinning ear to ear. Hooked. Now they're talking. Let the bonding begin. But then my sister's expression changed completely. What? Bella's sick? Why didn't she tell me? She immediately took out her phone and started calling my smartwatch. Too bad for her. I'd cleverly left it at home. Hehe. Now she had no choice but to enjoy the movie with her future boyfriend. Or so I thought. Instead, Liliana stood up abruptly. No, I need to go. If the movie hasn't started yet, I'm leaving. Robin blinked. But it's about to start. Your sister's probably already home. The butler probably picked her up. I'm sure she's okay. But my sister's tone was anxious and firm. Bella's always had a weak immune system. Every time she gets a fever, she needs someone with her. I won't feel at ease unless I go home and check on her. Before we knew it, she was already walking out. Robin hesitated for a second, then followed after her. Jeremy and I stared at each other in disbelief. Now what? But before either of us could think, we both jumped up and bolted after them. My sister stood at the curb, anxiously tapping away on her rideshare app. Robin Robinson hovered behind her, trying to calm her down. Don't worry too much. I'm sure everything's fine. Watching the two of them, I couldn't help but smile in satisfaction. Robin just radiated dependable husband energy. This was exactly the kind of guy who deserved my sister. Jeremy and I were just about to reveal ourselves and say something when a familiar voice cut through the air. Liliana Whitelock? What are you doing here? And who's this guy next to you? We turned and, Of course, it was Ethan Greystone. Standing beside him was a delicate-looking girl with soft features. It had to be the female lead. Come to think of it, this was the first time I'd actually seen her in person since entering this novel world. Ethan strolled right up to my sister, his tone laced with venom. So, Liliana Whitelock, what happened to your usual simping routine? Finally found a new target to orbit around. He sneered. Don't tell me you seriously can't live without a man. Is that it? You just have to cling to someone. That did it. I was ready to charge at him right then and there. My years of taekwondo training hadn't been for nothing. But just as I took a step forward, smack, a sharp, crisp slap echoed through the air. We all froze. It wasn't me. It was the female lead. Her hand had struck with precision. Clean, fast, merciless. Ethan Greystone, she snapped. Do you have any shame? That mouth of yours. Was it made to spew garbage about women? Ethan was stunned. My sister was stunned. Robin was stunned. Jeremy and I didn't even breathe, terrified her next slap might land on one of us. Please, dear protagonist, spare the innocent. I leaned over and whispered to the system. What the heck? This isn't the heroine I imagined at all. The system, equally shaken, muttered. Yeah, the book never said she was this fierce. The female lead turned to my sister and bowed slightly. I'm sorry. Ethan's awful with words. I apologize on his behalf. Then her eyes caught sight of Robin Robinson, and her expression shifted to delight. Robin. What are you doing here? Oh, this was bad. Did we just accidentally give the female lead and Robin a meet-cute? Was he going to fall for her now too? But Robin's response was calm and composed. Just watching a movie with a friend. Yes, that's my top pick. Steady as a rock. My sister, however, suddenly seemed to realize something. She looked Robin up and down. Wait, your name's Robin Robinson? Is your brother named Jeremy Robinson? Robin blinked, a little confused. Yes? Why? Her face darkened, and she rolled up her sleeves. So your brother's the one who's been telling my little sister she's fat and brainwashing her to go on a diet? Jeremy snapped his head toward me, eyes wide. Bella Whitelock, what lies have you been telling your sister? I never said you were fat. His voice was so loud it turned every head around us. I shut my eyes in despair. The system whispered dryly. This is a mess. Everyone grab a spoon. We've got a whole pot of chaos to serve. My sister walked up to me, the slightest trace of anger in her expression for the first time. Bella, are you lying to me now? I trembled and clung to her pant leg like a guilty puppy. Sis, I'm sorry. Please don't be mad. She stared at me for a long moment, then sighed and took my hand. Forget it. Let's just go home. As we turned to leave, she glanced at Robin and offered an apologetic smile. I'm really sorry about today. Let me make it up to you with a meal next time? Robin flushed red. It's fine. Really. Maybe we can watch a movie again sometime. Behind him, Jeremy nudged his brother with a wicked grin. Since when did you like watching movies, huh? Robin hissed back under his breath. Shut up. Just then, the female lead called after us, her voice playful. Hey, Liliana Whitelock. See you at university. We're still rivals, remember? My sister turned and waved. No problem. Bring it on. But as we walked off, we could still hear Ethan getting scolded in the background. Who would have thought that someone like Ethan Greystone could ever look this pitiful? After we got home, my sister sat down in a chair and looked at me seriously. All right. Bella, talk. What's going on? I fidgeted, shifting from foot to foot, but in the end, I told her the truth. I overheard you talking to Ethan that day, and after that, you seemed really sad for a while. So I wanted to find you a good boyfriend. Someone who would love you properly, so you could feel what it's like to be truly loved. My sister looked genuinely caught off guard. For a moment, she just stared at me. Then she reached out and gently patted my head, smiling. Silly girl. I wasn't upset about Ethan. I've been working on a project lately with that girl we ran into today. There was a big problem with it right at the start, and I've been locked in my room researching ways to fix it. Now I was the one stunned. So she hadn't been moping about some heartbreak. She'd been working with a female lead the whole time? No wonder the female lead defended her so fiercely today. Then my sister continued. And besides, I am loved. By you, Bella. My sweet, amazing Bella. You might be small, but you've taught me so much about self-love. I've learned more from you than you could imagine. Do you know that the girl we met today used to look down on me? She thought I was just some love-crazed airhead. But once I started loving myself and stopped blindly changing for someone else, she began to respect me. We became good friends, working side by side. I'm really happy now. The system chimed in softly. That's your love-brain sister, Liliana Whitelock, right there. I hesitated, then looked up at her. Sis, you used to like that guy so much. Now that he's with that girl, doesn't it hurt to be friends with her? My sister gave a little laugh and pulled me into her arms. Oh, Bella. I'm so lucky to have someone who cares about me like you do. I'll be honest. I used to think of her as a rival. I thought she stole my true love. But once I got to know her, I realized she's strong, capable, and full of great qualities. It's honestly no surprise Ethan fell for her. But she doesn't even like him back. Today, she only met with Ethan to reject him clearly and finally. So really, Bella, thank you. I turned my head and said, with a totally serious face. Sis, you're where you are now because you worked hard. It wasn't just because of me. You should thank yourself the most. She blinked, clearly not expecting that. Her eyes shimmered with tears. Oh, Bella, you just taught me something again. I promise, I'll keep growing, keep working hard, and never go back to being that love-brained girl. I'll be the best role model I can for you. I stretched out my pinky. Then, sis, pinky swear. No loving anyone more than you love yourself, okay? But wait. What about how much I love you? Fine. You're the only exception. Come on, Pinky, swear. The system sniffled beside us, wiping imaginary tears. So this is what girl-to-girl emotional bonding looks like? God, I'm sobbing. This is better than any romance arc. My sister and I smiled at each other, linking our fingers tight. The end.
The end. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.